Good evening and welcome to FRC Media News for Thursday, April 5th, 2018. I'm Keith Tebow. Tonight we report on the state of business in Fall River at the Chamber of Commerce event held earlier this week. We look at the reorganization at the Department of Community Maintenance, and we try to explain why unemployment in Fall River is twice the state average. But first, let's check in with the news headlines of the week. We bring in Will Richmond, the digital news editor at the Herald News in downtown Fall River. Will, how are you?
I'm good, Keith. How you doing?
Good. Happy spring, although it's been spring for over 2 weeks, although it's kind of blustery today, and I think there's actually maybe some snow in the forecast for the weekend. It's all confusing. Anyway, climate change, as they say. All right, let's get right into it. Economic development in Fall River. As I mentioned in our open, and we'll have more later on, the Chamber of Commerce this week held its annual State of the Business event and breakfast earlier this week, and Mayor Correa was there and talked about the status of economic development. I know, Will, we talked about this before, but you know, the mayor and FROED have been at odds since last year when the mayor evicted FROED from Government Center, and the mayor says he's going to be launching his plan for economic development going forward. He still has yet to do that. Has there been any indication on when he will make that announcement?
There's been no solid indication. You know, for about a year now, he has been saying that he will make an announcement on an economic development plan. He has tried to push some initiatives through the redevelopment authority by them taking a vote to, you know, remove FROED as their staffing unit and to sort of restructure themselves. That was regularly rejected by the FROED board. There may be some possibility that some change could come. The FROED board is changing. There are some new members that are being appointed, and there's a key member that is, an announcement is being waited on. The chairman's position is appointed by the governor's office. Okay. The term is up for the current chairman, who is former planner Bill Kenny. So with the change of that, we've been told, you know, when that announcement is made, it will be followed up with the new economic development plan, or they'll be made in conjunction with each other. But, you know, we're going on close to a year now, as we said before, and you know, there's still no firm plan for what the mayor's economic development vision is for Fall River.
There have been a lot of questions from city councilors and others in the community about the plan. I know the city council held a meeting this week to talk with the administration about this mayor's plans for economic development. And there's some, you know, money from community development, over $300,000, that was originally earmarked to go to the Fall River Office of Economic Development, FROED, which has been the case for the past number of years. But the mayor held that back for this initiative, and I know there have been some questions from city councilors on why none of that money has been spent and what's, again, still in the plans.
Yeah, and it has even prompted Ken Fiola Jr., the executive vice president of FROED, to reach out to city councilors and make a plea to them to restore funding back to FROED. You know, he's voicing his concern that, one, if they've gone a year without spending the money and creating any jobs, then could the city potentially be at risk for losing those funds? Additionally, you know, they've said that they're the ones equipped to do this work, and to also keep in mind that if the city awards the money to themselves, that means that the city has to provide oversight over itself spending money, and that could create a conflict of interest as well in terms of how these federal funds are delivered and monitored for. So, you know, there really is a lot of questions that remain, and the city council has attempted to get some of those answers as well, but no clear, again, it all comes down to that economic development plan, and everyone's kind of sitting back waiting for that to be announced.
Will, do you have any indication at all from some of the reporters at the Herald that maybe the city has missed out on some opportunities over the past year because of this uncertainty in economic development?
Well, a couple of weeks back, we did our own look at the state of economic development in the city, and, you know, one of the things that came up that was mentioned to our reporters as they were working on the story is that it's been a year since any TIF agreements were approved in the city. Now, there is some movement on that effort. They have recently moved to put Cliff Ponte, the city council president, onto the TIF board. So there may be some new TIFs being pushed forward, but that's one area that shows some aspect of economic development, especially on some larger scale projects. Certainly TIFs were needed to get Amazon to build here in Fall River. South Coast Marketplace also required some TIFs to move forward. So none of those have happened in the past year, and certainly that's one sign of a lack of economic development that has not taken place here in Fall River.
All right, so we will continue to follow the story as it goes along. Finally today, more news on South Coast Rail. The State Secretary of Environmental Affairs, Matthew Beaton, this week released a report saying that in terms of the environmental issues in Phase 1 of South Coast Rail, everything looks like it's a go, and I guess the progress and the process will continue. I know we've talked about this for a while. A lot of people, again, don't see any tangible action in front of them in terms of the building and of extending commuter rail, but it's these little pieces of the process that keep moving forward that we're beginning to see more now that this environmental hurdle has been overcome.
It is a sign that there is movement forward on this. Of course, I remain one of those skeptics myself. So, if you go back to the Deval-Patrick plan that was going to bring the rail route through Stoughton, environmental approvals were received for that concept, and the same things were said. This is moving the project forward. Governor Patrick left office saying that he felt the project was at the point of no return and it was going to happen. Still, there are no trains running. I'll remind that Deval-Patrick plan, the trains were going to be running in his initial timeline by December 2016. I haven't heard any train whistles blowing yet through Fall River on that plan as well. So, it is optimism. It is the project is moving forward on the latest sort of incarnation of South Coast Rail, but I hesitate. It is an election year. Things tend to move a little quicker in election years, and then you wonder where they go afterwards. So
right.
Count me amongst the skeptics at this point.
Well, you've got until 2022, because that's the new date for South Coast Rail to come to Fall River and New Bedford. So, your criticism is well-founded in the 2016 date, but now there's a new date. So we'll look forward to 2022. All right, Will, what else is coming up over the next few days?
Sure, it's a big election season for our towns in Greater Fall River. So both Somerset and Swansea voters will be headed to the polls on Monday, and Westport voters go on Tuesday. So we'll have a full preview of what the races look like there, or the non-races, and all the little nitty-gritty details that people need to know before heading out to the polls on those days.
All right, Will, sounds good. We'll talk next week. Take care.
All right, have a good weekend, Keith.
We'll have more FRC Media news right after this.
Here are some job descriptions on the latest hot jobs list from the Fall River Career Center. Cashier clerk. Walgreens, located at 870 North Main Street, has an immediate opening for a part-time cashier clerk to complete customer transactions on the cash register and assist customers with their shopping needs. Job number 10401679. Psychiatric nurse practitioner. Star, located at 386 Stanley Street, is looking for a full-time psychiatric nurse practitioner to work with clinical staff to assess and treat mental health diagnosis for inpatient and outpatient health center clients. Job number 10397072. Office manager. TJ's Music, located at 347 South Main Street, is in need of a full-time, reliable, and organized office manager to handle day-to-day operations of the music store, selling and scheduling music lessons. Job number 10377753. Robert Half Finance and Accounting Agency is looking to fulfill the following positions in the Fall River area. Receptionist, job number 10401712. Customer Service Representative, job number 10400805. Burlington Coat Factory, located at 181 Mariano Bishop Boulevard, is looking to fulfill the following positions. Retail Sales Associate, job number 10399753. Receiving Associate, job number 10399777. For more information on these or other positions, visit jobquest.detma.org or call the Fall River Career Center at 508-730-5000.
Welcome back. The Bristol County Chamber of Commerce held its annual State of Business address this week with Fall River Mayor Jaisio Correa as the guest speaker. While the mayor touched upon issues of general interest to the business community, he mainly zeroed in on his vision for economic development moving forward.
Our plan is to take our redevelopment authority, our RDA, and we have some members in the room of our RDA, and fund our RDA with money to create and hire their own staff. A staff that's working for the RDA each and every day. Not a private entity, not a nonprofit, separate entity, the actual redevelopment authority. Now, why does that make a lot of sense? I'll tell you why. The RDA is a body that already has power granted by the state to the RDA. It has power of eminent domain. It has the power to, and they just completed, to do urban renewal plans, which focus on our downtown and our waterfront. They already own the biotechnology park. They own the city pier. They own the parking garages in our downtown. And the urban renewal plans will cover Main Street, North Main Street, and the waterfront. So to me, it sounds like they pretty much hold the keys to every asset that we've all been talking about developing for 30 years. But yet, they don't have their own staff to manage their properties on a daily basis. They don't have their own staff to market their properties. They outsource, they spend all kinds of other money. And I think that's been a problem. What they currently have is a relationship, a contract with a vendor, which is FROED, and that contract will stay in place. But FROED, in my opinion, in my research, had, just like I talked about earlier, shedding the things that you don't need to do and the things you don't do well. That's what I felt was really necessary, because we are funding $320,000 a year for economic development results. And what we decided to do is say, you know what, let's look at the issues, let's put them on the table, and let's really decide where do we want to put this money. And we took that $320,000 and we believe that it belongs with the RDA. And the RDA can have their own staff and do a lot of the things that are still going to yield economic results, but not have to worry about property management, not have to worry about a loan portfolio, not have to worry about generating new business for their loan portfolio. That is not essential to the city. So just like privatization of trash, we had to shed what is non-essential for economic development to see the next decade of results. And that is what we are doing. That's what we're going to continue to do. And I think you're going to see some positive results from that activity in partnership with FROED, because FROED continues to have a contract of $11,000 a month with the RDA, and that contract will not be canceled. So I think you're going to see a nice partnership develop if there's a willingness to partner. That's critical. Everybody in this room knows that. If there's no willingness to partner, there will be no partnership.
Also in the State of Business address, the mayor praised his administration for privatizing trash removal, which he says frees up time for Department of Community Maintenance workers to spend more time on other services like fixing potholes and sidewalk repairs. As such, the mayor is reorganizing the DCM. City Administrator Kathy Ann Viveros explains.
The new memorandum of agreement that was negotiated between the city and the Teamsters local at DCM provides that there are incentives in place for those workers who become part of the concrete crew, which is repairing sidewalks, asphalt crew, which is repairing potholes, and also if they have CDL licenses. The agreement provides an extra $1 per hour and a wage increase in exchange for training to perform these new tasks and in exchange for licenses that the personnel may secure that, again, are going to help the city to better address the new functions that we're hoping DCM is going to embrace and are going to benefit all of our residents and businesses within the city.
Are there going to be any layoffs within that department?
Fortunately, we're seeing a lot of interest in the new training activity, and we're hopeful that all of our existing employees are going to be able to find a new role within that department. The compensation is going to be in place to reward them for that extra training and that extra effort that they'll be expending. And we would even like to see the department expand and grow so that we can provide even more of the services that our residents and businesses are looking for.
Unemployment in Fall River is twice the state average at 8.2%, according to figures released by the State Office of Labor and Workforce Development. FRCMedia News asked the Fall River Career Center as to why Fall River lags behind the rest of the state.
Pretty much you can see that right now Brayton Point closed. It's closed recently. We've had the layoff from Brayton Point. And also we had the people from another manufacturer that closed in New Bedford, also closed, and they approved on the trade. So we've had a couple of places that have laid off that have really hit us with the higher end jobs, which is, I mean, these people were getting paid a little bit more than the average person in the area would be paid. So it really hit us hard on that. The second thing that we see is it's going to be pretty much now the people that are going back to work, the construction, so that's going to lower it a little bit more, even though it's at 8.2 right now, somewhere around there.
Now, how are you handling the overflow of unemployed people, so to speak?
I guess we're used to that. I mean, we've had, as you remember from the past, we've dealt with Quaker, which was a very, very high number of people that were laid off from there. So we pretty much know exactly what to do with individuals that come in to our office that just been unemployed. So we've been in this business for quite some time. We don't like to see it, but we know it's normal business. We know there are companies that are going out of business, and that's what we're here for, to try to transfer them over to new employment.
For details on the latest unemployment figures in Fall River, please visit our website, frcmedianews.org. We'll have more right after this.
So today we have Missy. She's a 3-year-old Flemish giant. She's actually owner surrendered. Her owner could no longer take care of her anymore, so she was surrendered to the shelter. Missy would do good in a home that has a lot of room and is pretty knowledgeable about rabbits in general, and especially one of her size. She's very sweet. She likes to be around people. She likes to be pet, and her temperament's very, very just docile. She's a really pretty girl. If you'd like to come down and see her, we're at Forever Paws, 300 Littlewood Street, Fall River, Mass, and we're open every day but Wednesdays to the public, 11 to 4.
Today we have Miss Fendi. Miss Fendi is a 2.5-year-old bulldog mix. As you can tell, she's a wonderfully pretty brindle color. She's just so much of a sweetheart. We're pretty sure that in the past she's had puppies. Don't worry when you adopt her. She will be spayed, so you won't have to have any more puppies with her. But she's very sweet, probably partly because of that. She does enjoy a good play, but mostly she just likes to kind of come up. She'll lean into you. She'll look for some rubs, that sort of thing. Kind of what she's doing right now, especially those belly rubs too. She'll have as I live and breathe. There we go, showcasing her love for belly rubs right here. But really, she's just a cuddle monster. So if you want to come down and meet her, we're here at 300 Linwood Street, and we're Forever Paws Animal Shelter.
It's time once again for Forever Paws Animal Shelter's annual Spring Fling and Wellness Fair. This special event raises funds to support Forever Paws in its efforts to protect and find homes for abandoned, stray, and abused animals, and will take place this year on Sunday, April 8th. Stop by and sample a variety of wellness services, including reflexology, massage, Reiki, skin rejuvenation, earth stones, and ear candling. Or try a tarot, angel card, flame card, or rune reading. An animal spirit communicator will also be on hand, along with holistic, flower, and jewelry vendors, and a delicious bake sale. The Spring Fling will be held at Rachel's Lakeside, 950 State Road, Dartmouth. The door opens at 11:30 a.m. General admission is $2. Services will be available from noon to 5 p.m. Each service is for 15 minutes and costs just $10.
Welcome back. As school shooting incidents are on the rise throughout the country, we asked Fall River School Superintendent Matt Malone his opinion on news reports that say teachers should be armed.
Everyone's talking about let's arm teachers. I think that's a bad idea. I think teachers got into teaching to teach, but I do think we have to have serious consideration, both federally and at the state level, about some sort of enhanced armed, like air marshal type investment in public safety. Every single building needs to have an armed security or SRO in it. That's the new norm. I'm sorry for folks that want to talk peace, love, and happiness, which I don't disagree with. It's just that I got crazy people out there that want to kill kids, and we cannot ever allow that to happen. So we have to be smart. We have to harden targets. We have to ensure that we're doing best practices, 1 point in, 1 point out, lock doors, see something, say something, everything we're doing right, but we can never guarantee 100% safety. Parents send their children to us with a leap of faith every day, and we have to be prepared and ready to do what we must to defend and protect those children that parents bestow upon us.
That'll do it for this edition of FRC Media News. You can watch FRC Media News Thursdays and Fridays at 6 p.m. and you can view our news online 24/7 at frcmedianews.org. For all of us here at FRC Media News, I'm Keith Tebow. Have a great week. We'll see you next Thursday.